All right, welcome along. My name's Bosh. This is Bosh's Ableton Beginner Bits, and today we're going to be looking at two of the core elements of reggae music in particular. Obviously, then gets taken into dub and other genres, but these are, I'd say, the two heavily defining aspects of reggae music, and that's the skank and the bubble. Now, the skank is the main sort of offbeat piano that you hear, and the organ is like a softer, also syncopated organ that sits underneath and just gives it like a bit of a groove. But that's what we're going to get into. We're going to talk about these two aspects when it comes to making reggae music. Before we get into it, as per usual, I want to tell you about buymeacoffee.com/BoshDubs. You can go there and support this channel. Any donations or anything that comes through there goes straight back into the channel, and hopefully we can just help me sort of make the videos a bit better. I want to make my production value a little better, that kind of thing. So any support on there is absolutely appreciated, but what is most appreciated is channel interaction. So if you can subscribe, share the videos, comment, like, all that business, just watch them. Watching them is a big thing as well because the watch hours count. It just helps make this channel reach other people like you who might want to learn about making dub and dubstep and reggae in Ableton Live from a beginner's perspective. And that's it. Quick intro. Let's get straight into it. I'm going to call this video Bubbles and Skanks, because it sounds better that way rather than Skank and Bubble. But yeah, Bubbles and Skanks, this one. Let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the skank. Now, the skank is the name for the offbeat, like, jing, skank, skank, skank. Let's call it a skank because it sounds skank. Like it sounds a little bit like skank if you've got a good imagination. So I've got a very basic hat and rim loop. I've got a swung one later, but we'll use that later on. So this is straight. Okay. And all I'm going to do is show you where the snare lies and then where you're going to put the pianos in relation to that. This here is the snare. The snare sits in the middle of the bar. The skanks, so that's on 1.3. The skanks are going to go on 1.2 and 1.4. And then before we get into it later, the bubbles are going to go on 1.13, 1.23, 1.33, 1.43. So they're going to go in between the skanks and the snare. So you fill it. Careful. So you're filling in the blanks, basically, filling in the gaps between everything that's there. So the skank, I'm just going to do a basic A minor skank, simple one. It's a lot of reggae seems to be done in C major or A minor, so let's stick with that. That's an organ. We need a piano. Now I am still using all the Ableton samples and instruments for this. So the idea of this channel is that you can create everything I do on here with what you get out of Ableton out of the box. So we're using, not that. Oh, I remember what I did here. All right, let's get rid of that. I've shot this video a couple of times. So we've got the Grand Piano Stretch Bright Solo that is from the pianos in Ableton. So go find that. You can just type in piano in the instruments and it'll come up. This is my favorite piano for doing for when I'm producing, basically, out of all the Ableton stock pianos. So, all right, that's just an A minor chord. I might do that actually. I might do A and G. A minor. A minor, G major. And then two Gs. Yeah, we're going to do that. All right, so let's play it and let's record. And you'll see where I'm putting these skanks. And that's it. So if I expand this, let's make it a little bit so you can see as much of this as possible. Oh God, how am I going to get? Can I drag that back? Nice. I've never done that before. So here we've got chords, and you'll notice the 1 and the 3 where our kick and snare you usually hit. These skanks are bang in between those. Skank, snare, skank. Skank, snare, skank, skank, rim, stank. All right. And I mean, that's kind of it with the skank. Now, something more production-wise I like to do is double a skank up with something else. So we've got our basic piano. Let's go into the instruments. I'm going to type in guitar this time. Let's do the instrument rack. Nope, guitar unplugged. And let's see what we've got in here. I want to use something just a little bit guitar sounding. Ooh, maybe that. And what I'm going to do, I need to go back a step. So let me just ungroup this. So what you'll get when you first load your grand piano stretch... What have I done? That's wrong. Ungroup. There we go. All right, so you've got your grand piano stretch bright solo in there, and I want to add another instrument that gets played at the same time. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this, but for this video, I'm going to show you a specific way. You could just double that track and change the instrument. That way, it gives you a lot more flexibility over the note. So I would do it that way, but I just thought I'd sneak in this little tutorial on something else you can do here. So I'm going to click on grand piano stretch, bright solo, Control G. All right. Press this little, these little lines here, and now you can see that your grand piano bright stretch solo, whatever the hell it's called, is now in an instrument rack, and we can add stuff to it. So I'm going to take the soft tremolo room, and I'm going to drag it into this instrument rack here. So now they're both playing at the same time. So if I lower so we've got just piano. And then what I'm going to do is mix that guitar in behind it. I'm just going to keep upping the volume. I'm just pressing the up button until you start to hear it. Yeah, something like that. And that's a skank, basically. A lot of reggae tracks get a more authentic sounding skank using an actual guitar. That's not what we're doing on this channel, I'm afraid. Sorry, this is a very beginner's basic channel. So I'm not going to go into getting live instruments because a lot of people don't have guitars lying around. But if you want the most authentic sound, you want a guitar with quite a low gauge string. Or is it a high gauge? You want one with thin strings that are a bit twangy and a bit skank. Like, you don't want something with super heavy strings on it. But we're not going to go into that. So that's the skank, basically. And it is the backbone of a lot of reggae music. Of all reggae music, pretty much. Okay, so now the most interesting thing about this, which I think a lot of people don't know, is the bubble. Now, the bubble is like a light organ that fills the gaps in between the skank and the drums. So you'll see here, there's a gap like in the middle there. 2.23, 2.33, 2.43, da da da. So it's the one. It's the and note. Note 1 is 1, and 2's a skank, and 3's a snare, and 4's a skank, and the next one's the next bar. So it's all the and notes. I'm going to record my bubble organ. All right. And this organ is the organ mustard. Let's type in organ here and see where it comes. Let's go piano and keys. I'm sure it's in here. Organ mustard ballpark. So it's a very much like a ballpark baseball sort of organ. But I like it for the bubble sound. So let me just show you how I would record this bubble. So remember, I'm putting them in between what I've already got. I'm filling in those gaps. Let me get my little keyboard here. I should always have this. I need to get a keyboard, a camera on this. Let me turn it up so you can hear it. Alright, that's straight. So we're going to record in a straight bubble. All right, here we go. A minor, G major. Okay, that first one's way off. I'm just going to correct that one. And then what I'm going to do is Control Shift, and I've done Control Shift and A, select everything, Control Shift U, brings up the automation, the quantize box. And then I'm just going to lower this to about 84. So what that does is, I've explained before, that quantizes it, but not completely to the grid. It'll bring them a little bit closer, but it doesn't 100%. And how much you change that percentage to depends on how much it moves it towards the actual goal line, basically. I always worry that I'm waffling and not explaining things very well, but everyone seems to get it, so hopefully we're all right. Let's have another listen. Now, this is always turned down in the mix, so let's lower it right down and then bring it back up until we can hear it. Yeah, it's just a little background, it's just for vibes. Alright, now the only other thing I'd say with this is that you can always get the, like the swung bubble. The swinging bubble is a lot more of a common thing. So let's have a listen to this. I'm going to change the hats from the swing, sounding like this. And then listen to the hats when I change it. 4, 3, 2, 1. So it's not straight anymore. It's not just. It's a little bit shuffled, a little bit off. Okay. And then I'm going to do a bubble to reflect that. So I'm going to make my bubble off beat. Now what you could do easily is grab this. Yeah, highlight everything. Let's expand this out again. And then all you could do is go to the groove pool here. And then click on that swing 8ths 57. That's the one that I've already attached with my hats. Yeah, I've already added that swing to my hats. So this would add the same swing. Let's do that. Yeah, but what I want to do, I don't want to do that. It's a little bit of a lazy way to do it. I'm going to record my own. All right, ready? All right. Now that's the core of bubble and skank, yeah? You've got your drums, you fill the gaps with skank. You've got your skank, you fill the gaps with bubble. That's the best way I can think of it. Now I'm going to get a little bit more advanced here because I often find that if you layer up the bubble with the skank, you get a full layer of the organ doing the bubble and the skank together, and then you're getting your skank sound on top of this. I sound like an absolute idiot explaining this, but you'll see what I mean. So we're going to stick with the shuffled one. And then what I'm going to do is change the octave. All right, and I'm going to do the skank pattern with that organ, but overdub it onto here. And all you need to do that is start it playing. And then when you're ready to go, you just need to press this little circle here, and that's the overdub button. So it means you can record over what you've already done, and it'll keep the old recording and add the new one on top of it. All right, so I'll turn it on, and it won't do anything until I start playing. But I'm just gonna add the skank. Yeah. So let's I need to pull that down a little bit. Now for this particular one, I'm going to take out that guitar soft because it's a little bit. Yeah, I don't really like the guitar soft. It's just an idea of something you can do. And that's pretty much it. I would work on things like that. Do your bubble as 2 sets of chords. So say if I were doing it, I'll do a D chord because I can fit on this small keyboard. I've only got this at the moment. This is not working because I need a new power supply. It's just crackles all the time. It's knackered. But yeah, so on this, I'm going to do 2 Ds, 2 D minors. And then your bubble, you just kind of go. Let's go to C. Yeah, so that's bubbling, but you double chords, little, like little sort of things in between. And I think that's it. It's going to be a short one this week. That's bubble and skank. Skank is the main aspect. That's the skank. That's the main reggae thing. And then your bubble just really adds, especially if you get a real nice drawbar organ. There's some real good organs in Ableton. If you find a good drawbar, that. As a matter of fact, let's just try quickly before I go. Let's try a couple of different organs. Let's try this funky organ. Each one of these would have its place in a production, but let's try this rough. Yeah, so I'm just playing the D minor chord and the D minor chord an octave apart and then dropping it down to the C major. Simple. And just bounce about with it, get your arms moving, get a little bit, channel some sort of on-stage organ demon who's just like... That one's a bit deep purpley, I'm getting a bit mad here. Ooh, chimes and dimes. Let's try this one. Yeah. And that's it. I'm going to leave it there now. I've explained fully what they are. I don't need to do any more. My name's Bosh. This has been Bosh's Ableton Beginner Bits. That was Skanks and Bubbles. Bubbles versus Skanks. Whatever I call this video, we will see. And I'll see you next time. Ciao.